Good evening, everyone. I'm sure most everyone here tonight has either spoken the phrase or heard the phrase, hey, it's not rocket science. I would never say that to tonight's featured commencement speaker. That's because he is a rocket scientist. Terry Murphy is a 1975 Bishop Noll graduate who majored in astronautical engineering at Purdue and earned a master's in systems management from the University of Southern California. Terry is semi-retired now and serves as an advisor to private equity firms. But when he was fresh out of Purdue, he was part of a team that made space exploration history. You'll hear shortly about his role in the very start of the space shuttle era. He would spend nearly 30 years managing complex aerospace systems for which he received many special recognitions from NASA, including the Silver Snoopy Award, NASA's most prestigious award for civilian employees who have made extraordinary contributions to human spaceflight. Terry has also received the Outstanding Astronautical Engineering Award from Purdue in West Lafayette. He was the founding CEO of Solar Reserve, a company that utilizes molten salt energy storage technology in conjunction with concentrated solar power. He later became the CEO of the Hammond Group, which specializes in advanced materials for batteries, and he was named the Business Person of the Year by the Lakeshore Chamber of Commerce for his work here in Hammond. And right here at Bishop Noll, Terry and his wife, Mary Ann, have been significant supporters of our students, generously funding scholarships, donating the 30 computers that many of you have used in our Stream Lab, and much more. We are grateful for his investment in Bishop Noll and our students, and we are honored and grateful to have Terry with us tonight, making the trip in from his home out west. So I present to you, from the class of 1975, Terry Murphy.
Wow, that was quite an introduction. I'm not sure I need to say anything else. This kind of reminds me of a launch. This is the typical weather in Florida, so for all of these fanning and everything else, this is what I spent the first 20 years, down in Florida with this type of weather. So thank you, President Mullaney, members of the faculty, families, friends, but most of all, to the graduating class of 2026. Give yourselves a hand. As Paul mentioned, I was here some 50 years ago. Yes, I'm that old. And I have many fond memories. I was the last of four in my family. My sister Kathy and my two brothers, Peter and John, preceded me. So I was acquainted with very excited to be able to come to Bishop Noll. In my senior year, I was elected student council president and was involved in all sorts of activities, running the student assemblies, putting teams together to organize homecoming, prom, other events. I was trying to recall just one event that may have stood out, but I think it's best to say that just the generosity, the friendship, the people showing up for one another is that what I remember the most. That was the Noll spirit then, and I can see that it's flourishing here today. So I had a great time, and I hope your memories are as blessed as mine. Now, I suspect that most of you are probably both excited and scared what comes next. I know I was. You're asking yourselves, what am I going to do with my life? But I think a more important question might be, what kind of person will you be? These questions sound familiar, but there's substantial differences. Character and morality are the greatest gifts of a Bishop Noll education, and they are the key discriminators of this Catholic institution. Pope Leo stated in his recent encyclical, "Work is not simply an instrument, it expresses and enhances the dignity of our lives." So let me give you some context of my work experiences and how that might relate into the kind of person you need to be. Fortunately, I knew what I wanted to do early in life. I grew up in the Apollo area, watching men go to the moon. I still remember Frank Borman, our native son from Gary, and the namesake for our expressway, becoming one of the first humans to ever circle the moon. It was Christmas Eve, and it was the first time that we saw the Earth from that distance. Just a tiny blue marble. No countries, no boundaries, just oceans and continents. It was so beautiful. I was especially enthralled to watch the recent Artemis launch, where they recreated that moment from 1968 by flying around the moon to evaluate the spacecraft. I was hoping we would have a permanent base on the moon during my career, but it looks like your generation is going to have that opportunity. And you think that may be far-fetched, but somebody in this audience could very well be walking on the moon in the not-too-distant future. So I was lucky. I knew what I wanted to do at a very young age. I was going to build rocket engines. That ambition took me to Purdue. Anybody going to Purdue here? All right. Boiler up. Cradle of the astronauts, where I studied astronautical engineering with the emphasis in rocket propulsion. I think sheer perseverance, certainly more than intelligence, got me through Purdue and into my dream job working on the space shuttle main engine. It was 1980, and the engine was the pacing item to the next launch, to the very first launch. I was working on the test stands out in California. I would climb around the engine all day, checking things out, and then we would test later that night. I was working 12 to 16 hours during that first year, and I couldn't have been happier. You know, at that age, sleep felt optional, and the consequences of sleep deprivation, well, they kind of felt theoretical. Imagine being in a control room, only a quarter mile away, and launching a rocket. But this rocket wasn't going anywhere. It's fastened down to a test stand, blasting away into a deep canyon. The sound so deafening that the vibrations so intense you could literally feel your inside shake. I spent nearly 30 years working on all sorts of space propulsion and power projects. Everything from hypersonic scramjet engines, orbital transfer vehicles, the power systems on the Mars rover, to a concentrated solar system that stored energy in molten salt. I was in heaven. It was the best job ever. But then our division was sold, and the new company just wasn't the same. In fact, it was a disaster. I had never contemplated leaving. I had been in my dream job my whole career. I was a highly compensated executive by then, running all of our advanced programs. But the new management team and I didn't see eye to eye. And what had been so rewarding suddenly turned into a real struggle. So I devised an exit strategy. It was risky, but I had to do it. I was always enthralled with the concentrated solar power because you could store the energy in the molten salt, which is a big deal because of the intermittency of renewable energy like solar and wind. So I secured venture capital, convinced the company to let me spin out a new standalone solar company, and got a 30-year exclusive license for that technology. The new company took off quickly. We raised major funding, built momentum fast, and it looked like a tremendous success. Within a year, I had grown a $10 million investment from private equity into a $440 million valuation and secured over $740 million to go build our first project. I was having face-to-face meetings with Harry Reid, who at that time was head of the Senate. This system, you have to imagine, has 10,000 mirrors. Each mirror is larger than your classroom. There's 10,000 mirrors. It's 1.6 miles across, okay? It's focusing all of the energy to a tower 60 stories in the air to a heat exchanger that's 10 stories tall. It has enough power to actually run a coal turbine, but using the sun's thermal energy. I had hired what I thought to be the best people in the business, but I found out that they had questionable types of behavior and widely different objectives. They convinced the investors that 30 potential contracts on the future systems were more important than getting the first one done right. The organization was overtaken by what I'll call slick salespeople and not the engineers that we needed. It was a painful experience to see something that you started and built only to be destroyed by nothing less than condescending experts who, in my opinion, didn't know a whole lot. I had to leave. It just wasn't right. Predictably, the system had failure modes that could have been avoided, and the company fell into bankruptcy a few years later. Fortunately, a new group has taken it over, and hopefully they'll get it running as designed. I only survived those emotional roller coasters because of my family, my faith, and the foundation I first received here at Bishop Noll. That winding path eventually brought me back home, where I became CEO of the Hammond Group. You may have seen their R&D lab from the toll road, and they make specialty materials for the batteries. So we don't make batteries, we make batteries better. I retired a few years ago, but we transformed a vacant building here in Hammond into one of the top research centers in the world. We've won the Innovation Award twice, the only company to ever have done so. And we transitioned to an employee-owned company where every employee takes part in our success. I'm giving you this background as proof that careers rarely move in straight lines. So don't worry so much about what you might do. Just follow your interests, your passion, and most of all, your conscience. As you can see, the most significant turning points in life don't arrive like victories. More often, they arrive as disappointments and closed doors. These were opportunities I did not see coming, challenges I did not expect, and lessons I would not have chosen, but I absolutely needed. So here's my thought for the day. Who you are is considerably more important than what you do. Thankfully, you've had the good fortune to be taught in a Catholic culture where leadership, character, and morality are emphasized. Your biggest challenge now is how are you going to implement this Bishop Noll gift, the gift of moral character. Many things have changed since 1975 when my classmates and I graduated. There were no smartphones, no social media, no devices that could answer any question except any of the important ones. When we talked about the cloud, we were discussing the weather. The world you are entering is faster, louder, and more connected than the one I entered. But the essentials have not changed. Success is not about title, salary, recognition. Success is being able to look in the mirror and respect the person looking back. Are you willing to challenge unethical behavior or misrepresentations? Does your word mean something? Are you trustworthy? Be the person who gives credit and treats people with respect, especially when there's stress, disagreement, or disappointment. Bishop Noll and your Catholic faith have instilled in you the ability to keep going when life does not go according to plan. And the only thing that I can say with 100% certainty is that your life is not going to go to your plan. But don't worry. Believe in yourself. Rely on your faith. This is when life starts to get a little bit more interesting. The moments that taught me the most were never the easy ones. Over time, people may forget exactly what you achieved, but they will always remember how you worked, how you carried yourself, and how you treated others. No one gets here alone. A lot of recognition's already gone out, but I'll say it again to the parents, grandparents, guardians, teachers, coaches, counselors, staff, friends, family members who helped these graduates reach this day. Thank you. You got them here with love, sacrifice, and what I assume was a heroic amount of patience. You helped make this moment possible. So given the heat, and given my reference to Florida, I like to think this ceremony as a launch. So take a moment today to be proud of yourselves. You've earned it. Then go forward with humility. Keep learning. Stay open to the possibilities. And when you have a chance, help somebody else along the way. Because one day, much sooner than you think, you will look back and realize that a meaningful life is built from daily choices and not grand plans. Class of 2026, your future will not be perfect, but it can be rich with purpose, contribution, and joy. So I only need you to answer one question, yes or no. Are you ready to launch? Congratulations, and thank you for letting me come here today.